Ladies, gentlemen, zodiacs, folks with plums on their bats, it is I, Satsuki the Savage, here to give you my top 10 moments of Fruits Basket Season 1. Of course, I'm talking about the remake because as much as I like the old aesthetic from the original anime of Fruits Basket, 2001 anime Yuki scares the shit out of me. Just as clarification though, when I say my top 10 moments of Fruits Basket, I mean very specific moments, meaning I'm not going to go choose something that I deem bigger than just a moment. For example, I won't pick something like Hana's backstory because that's a little too broad, but I might hone in on one moment within the flashback, alright? Also, of course, there will be spoilers for season 1 of Fruits Basket, nothing from season 2 though, except for one thing, but when we're about to cross that bridge, I'll let you guys know. With that being said, let's get started. First, let's start with honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1, Kisa speaks for the first time. Seeing as how a girl as young as Kisa was bullied by her classmates and brutally beaten by Akito, forcing her to become mute, hearing her speak for the first time was very powerful. Her voice might be small, but in that moment it felt like a loud roar, indicating her desire to move forward. Honorable mention number 2, Mayuko threatens Kyo. The absurdity of this moment is what gets me. Not only is Mayuko strong enough to stop Kyo's entire momentum with just a notebook, she has hair dye that came either out of her ass or her GTA Will inventory, which she pulls out to threaten Kyo with. And it's just funny to me that a teacher is going around calling one of her students carrots. Final honorable mention, Witch Toru. I don't really have to say much at all. Look at this face, just look at it. I've always been a fan of the Yuki fan club's antics, but this delusion tops the game, no question. Number 10, the 3 delinquents practice intimidation. I know this isn't a big dramatic moment in Fruits Basket and it actually occurred in the post credits, but it was one of the funniest in my opinion. The 3 delinquents, who actually have names, Takemura, Ito, Ishihara, were working on their intimidation skills. However, after seeing them throughout episode 16 try to come off as scary, by the end of it, I can't see them as anything but cute. The mere fact that they are practicing how to throw out insults to appear fearsome is laughable to me. They eventually get their opportunity to apply their rehearsal to someone, with that someone being a certain bunny boy who responds in a German coded flurry of words, which was enough to get the girls to retreat. Somehow, because I guess they're xenophobic, no clue. Either way, very funny scene. Number 9, Hana confesses to attempted murder. Hana's powers were something known to us since episode 1, but for me at least, I didn't know how serious that part of her character would be taken until episode 22. With Hana's powers came the ridicule from her classmates, resulting in her being bullied, which got so bad she wished death on one of her tormentors. Given the extreme circumstances, it's totally understandable that Hana had these thoughts, but because of her not being able to fully control her powers, her thoughts manifested in physical harm to the boy. As much as that little shit deserved to be punished, Hana did not want to kill him, and her guilt led her to want to turn herself in to the police for attempted murder. The vacant look in Hana's eyes as she asked her parents when will she be taken in nails the scene. Hana was broken down from the bullying and voluntarily hearing the thoughts of others, and on top of that, there was a chance that her powers could severely or even fatally hurt people. It was a scary proposition for a child to be in, and it all revealed itself in this moment. Number 8, Utani and Hana's introduction. Initially, I thought this moment was good, and it's actually great in retrospect because it was an early showing of how much both Utani and Hana care for Toru. After the Yuki fan club corners Toru for daring to walk with their beloved Yuki, Utani swoops in for the save with Hana trailing behind. Those two were ready and willing to fight for Toru. Utani came in and did the talking, using their delinquent image to successfully shake the resolve of the Yuki fan club, and if you look at Hana in that scene, she didn't say a word initially, but she was just waiting to get on a Yuki fan club's ass, which would come after they attempted to fight back against Utani. After that, Hana conjures up the demonic ways to force the Yuki groupies to scurry away like roaches in the light. And Hana would keep up this pursuit until she was finally called off by Utani. The moment in of itself was funny, was a great indication of how strongly Utani and Hana felt about Toru, and it introduced Hana's powers very well. Number 7, Kazuma wishes Kyo was his son. This one is pretty straightforward. After seeing Kyo's backstory and how Toru was able to bring him back to Shigure's house, you learn what Kyo craves the most is acceptance. This sort of links to the history of those possessed by the cat spirit, as they are naturally ostracized and isolated from the other zodiacs. Pair this with how Kyo's mom treated him. Kyo resented that although his mom would constantly say she loves him, she refused to actually acknowledge him and all of his flaws. Back to Kazuma, him wanting to be Kyo's father is a thing Kyo wanted in his life. Kyo hates pity and to be ignored, so the reason why this moment hits even harder is because Kazuma is not related by blood to Kyo. There is no obligation for Kazuma to raise Kyo, yet he truly thinks of him as his son, looking at the parts of him his mother turned her head away from. Number 6, the most idiotic traveler in the world. What sociopath wrote this book? This story came from a book that was supposed to have a bunch of funny stories in it, but the most idiotic traveler in the world was far from that. The story is a tale about a girl who is tricked and manipulated by other opportunists who take literally everything away from her, from the clothes on her back to her goddamn eyeballs. Again, who was laughing at this? Anyways, this story was an obvious parallel to Toru, who, like the girl in the story, was selfless to a fault. I like this moment because, for one, it was another instance in which Toru's kindness was painted as a flaw rather than a good quality. People would brand the girl in the story and by extension Toru as stupid, and even if I disagree, it makes perfect sense why one would think that. I think this perspective is necessary to ground Toru, as a lot of people seem to believe she is a mythical creature that is perfect in all areas. As well, the insight from Momiji, which challenged the general public's opinion on idealistic people such as Toru, was welcomed. Momiji might be thought of as a token cute kid character, but he has depth to him past his mascot image shown by his viewpoint on this story. This one here is a spoiler, so if you have not finished season 2, click the timestamp and skip to number 4. You have 5 seconds. Number 5, Akito makes her formal appearance. This, of course, was not Akito's first time showing up in the series. She showed her face on at least 4 other occasions, but her meeting with Toru was, in my opinion, her true introduction into the series. Knowing what Akito did to Hattori's eye, some of the trauma Yuki experienced at her hands, and the eerie warning Momiji gives to Kyo and Yuki that Akito is present at their school led to a tense atmosphere in this moment. The power of Akito is evident in the scene, as her simply showing up completely rattles our main characters in a way we haven't quite seen before up to this point. Yuki looked absolutely horrified when Akito discussed re-educating him, and Toru's instinct to push her away from Yuki was a sign that this woman spelled danger. Akito left without hurting anyone and did not say much, but the impact of her appearance shown through the characters she interacted with, like Toru, Yuki, and Kyo, was captivating. The head of the Soma family did not disappoint in the slightest in her official debut. Number 4, Toru wants to live with the Somas. If I could use one word to describe this moment, it would be cathartic. Toru wasn't with the Somas for that long at this point, but she had an undeniable bond with them. And the void in her heart from parting ways with them would never be filled by her family, who are a group of assholes besides Grandpa Honda. Like, bruh, what type of family hires a private investigator to spy on you to make sure you're not getting in trouble? You see how Utani and Hana pulled up to Shigure's house because they wanted to make sure the Somas were good enough for Toru? You see the difference? But anyways, back on track, Toru was able to allow herself to stay trapped in a situation that she had the power to change. Typically, Toru is not one to be vocal about the things she wants, so she was going to let the opportunity to stay with the Soma slip by until her grandfather encourages her to live freely, just as her mother did. Knowing how much Toru sacrifices day in, day out without asking for anything in return, it was a beautiful moment to see her genuinely state her desire to live with the Somas. She was following a lesson taught to her by her late mother Kyoko and restated by Kyo, which was that it's okay to be selfish once in a while. A lesson that I think is very important in real life. Number 3, Toru hugs Momiji. I've cried in maybe 2 or 3 episodes of Fruits Basket, and episode 14 was one of them. Momiji's backstory wasn't lengthy, but the effect on me was. For a kid as young as Momiji to be asked to be alright with his mother completely forgetting his existence was saddening. However, for the health of his mother, Momiji consented to have her memories wiped, resulting in him being forced to pretend like he is someone else's child. Momiji seeing his mom and his little sister Momo has to be a constant reminder of his trauma, but all he can do is watch over them from afar for the threat of his mother relapsing. Momiji though states that he thinks there is no memory that is okay to forget, relating to Toru holding on to the memory of her mother despite the pain that comes along with that. This is why Toru hugging Momiji hit me in my feels. It wasn't just because Toru felt bad for Momiji in his circumstance, it was a gesture of agreement between the two that they would bear all of their memories, good and bad. Number 2, Kyo's true transformation. This I'm sure will be a lot of people's number 1s, which it is worthy of. This moment was payoff to a lot of setup in the story and was teased in episode 4 when Kyo kept Kagura from talking further. When the prospect of a true transformation came up, I didn't know what to expect, but it certainly wasn't what I saw from Kyo in episode 24. The transformation was every bit as monstrous as Kyo's rejection of it made it seem, greatly contrasting every Zodiac transformation we've seen in the story. Every bit of material that happened before, during, and after the transformation was great. Kazuma telling Kyo that he cannot hide forever and that he'd force him to face what he's afraid of. The flashback of Akito's reaction to the form, reinforcing how terrifying it looks and smells. And then there's Kyo, who desperately shouts for Toru not to look at him, calling back to words from his mother. As the smoke settles, we see Toru looking on in utter shock, matching the feelings of us viewers seeing this transformation for the first time. This moment was also a major turning point because Toru's action in the immediate aftermath had the potential to change the entire story. Everything ended up working out in the end with Toru returning with Kyo, but if she did not chase after him when she did, I doubt Kyo would ever have returned home, and I mean alive. And finally, number 1 on my list is Utani and Kyoko's walk back home. No joke, I have watched this specific scene probably 5+ times now, and only once when I was sleep deprived did I not cry. This was the most emotionally gripping moment for me in season 1 of Fruits Basket and maybe in the entire series. Kyoko has just saved Utani from a game beating that could have very well been fatal if she did not show up. Utani berates herself for being in that predicament, cursing the fact that she only learns when she suffers. This is where Kyoko's wisdom shines like always, as she states that sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to rise again. There is no light without darkness, so in spite of how Utani was feeling at the moment, her actions weren't for nothing. The line that always gets me though was Utani saying she wants to be Toru's best friend, a friend that she can take pride in. Utani's resolve in that moment was something that struck a chord with me. I thought it was amazing that Utani's primary reason for wanting to change was Toru. She started going to school because of her, would go on to build a relationship with her father, and left the gang just to change her reputation so that others would stop ridiculing Toru for hanging out with the delinquent. Also, I think what enhances the greatness of this moment is that we're dealing with 2 former gang members who stopped being active because of Toru. It showcases the effect Toru has on others' lives to consistently be a catalyst for their growth, whether she's present or not. Well, people, that about does it for my favorite moments in season 1. Let me know some of your favorites in season 1, and it doesn't have to be a top 10. It could be just your favorite moment in general or anything like that. Comment that below. But guys, that is it for me. I am Satsuki the Savage. Like, comment, subscribe. I am out.
Tasting your soul, you not in control, just giving you goals. Scared of your past, the future is closed. The start is the end is a start. They both are the same, can't tell them apart. Nigga, that's cuz the intro was the outro.